Hello, Sally.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. We are properly in the swing of things now. It's very exciting. Lots of
Love it.
amazing.
I managed to catch the end of the recording. What a great person I've now got to follow from Havas to Grey. Amazing.
I know that you will do a phenomenal job. Don't you worry about that. So Sally, do you want to start by telling us about who you are and what
Yeah,
is grey?
amazing. Of course. So hi everyone. I know I can't see you, but hopefully you can all see and hear me really clearly. I am Sally, as my name shows on the screen. My pronouns are she, her. I work at the fantastic agency Grey. I have been here now for scarily up to 6 years, which I definitely didn't think would happen. My role here, as you probably learned from a few of the people that you've heard from this morning, is very much focused in the people and talent and experience space. So that means I have the absolute privilege of getting to help shape the culture, shape the training, shape the learning, shape the onboarding that everyone gets exposed to here, and help make sure that people's careers here at Grey are really rewarding. So if you've never heard of Grey before, that is absolutely fine because I definitely hadn't heard of any advertising agency when I first started job hunting. But we are probably known as one of the oldest advertising agencies in the industry. So Grey was actually founded another frightening number. 6 years wasn't bad enough as a place, kind of place to stay. We were founded in 1917, so many moons ago. Completely different time, completely different landscape of advertising, of course, back then. And we've actually got a really interesting history and legacy then because of that, because our two co-founders were facing a lot of discrimination, a lot of unfortunate stereotypes that were being applied to them, so had to hide their names when they founded the company, hence the name Grey. It was actually chosen because of the colour and the paint of the walls, which are grey still behind me today. But they set up something that has lived on and created a lot of transformational work in the creative space. So we're really proud of that legacy from our founders and recognize still today that the diversity and difference they brought was a huge part of why they were so successful and why they brought those different perspectives to the table at a time when it was so sorely needed. So that's a little bit of a kind of potted history about Grey. We're now a company that exists across lots of different continents, lots of different countries, lots of different cities and towns. My role is specifically focused in London. So we've got an agency of just shy of 200 people down here in the city.
Amazing. Oh my God. Also, you are doing what the advertising industry does best, storytelling. Uh, Fascinating
We
backstory.
love a story. Yeah.
I did
We
not know that.
do.
And it actually is a wonderful kind of origin story and
It
really
is. Yeah.
goes with the ethos or the theme of what's been happening this morning is that advertising really wants to be available to everyone. And you guys really are trying to get, as many people through the doors as possible.
Completely. We really are. I think we are lucky to have that as you shared our origin story from a place where, unfortunately our founders had to hide their name. We actually rebranded a few years ago to showcase their names on, the doors of our buildings to kind of recognize that, the change they started and the conversation they sparked. But today, our industry's changed a lot, and we work with a whole host of different brands, different clients who want authentic representation in their work. And we can't do that if we're all cut from the same cloth. So it is so important that we have people coming in from different walks of life, different parts of the country. I grew up in Manchester, so I'm not from London originally. And having that as an opportunity is really important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. I mean, it's fantastic. Obviously, lots of the people watching are in school, but we also do
Mhm.
some people from universities here as well. So
Amazing.
let's talk about the requirements that you need
Mhm.
to get into Grey. If you don't have a degree, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? But if you do have
Completely.
a degree, what can you do to set yourself apart from the others? Like, paint us a picture of the kinds of things that you look for from entry level talent.
Great question. And I think actually Ella touched on it in her recording just before. Curiosity is a huge area for us. So we don't have any kind of set standards of as you touched on, degree qualifications, we look for courses you've even studied. We want people who are interested in the industry and don't quite even know what that interest might end up looking like later down the line. But just having that alone, we can work with, we can help shape that for you and help get you the exposure you need to help you find your path. So that curiosity is really important. Another build to that as well is, I think, having an opinion about work. So the more that we can see that through people's either applications for some of the internship schemes we run, or jobs that are open, having an opinion doesn't even have to be on our work as well, but any work, whether you liked an idea or if you didn't like an idea. Again, there's no right or wrong, but that shows that interest, and it shows that you're paying attention to the way the kind of industry is producing work and the shapes that's taking. So the more that you can find ways to share that and build on that interest, whether it's looking at art or going through kind of social trends, or just when you're out and about walking down the street, advertising's coming at you, kind of whether you like it or not, it's everywhere. And having an opinion on that, and whether you think it works or not, again, like I said, doesn't have to, there's no right or wrong in this, but that's what we want, because we want to be able to have that discussion and conversation about it. It's really important to us.
Yeah, so important. I mean, advertising is all about innovation, new ideas.
Mm,
You've got to
yeah.
put yourself out of your comfort zone in order to be able to have a space there, right?
Completely, absolutely. And it's that kind of scary moment of when you're kind of putting your hand up to be like, well, here's what I think. It does take a bit of getting used to, and we want to work with people to build that confidence. We're not saying that everyone's going to feel completely okay with doing that right from day one, but having those moments of just, oh, yeah, I wasn't too sure about that, or I don't like that ad. Even, for me in my role, I'm not in a creative position, but I have an opinion on the work that we make. And that opinion here is valued. And I would say the same for a lot of agencies up and down the country. We want people to have that perspective on the work, and we can help you form that as well, in a way that feels kind of safe, and like you're able to explore that curiosity a bit more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so great. You guys
Mhm.
have obviously, like you said, offices globally. There's
Yeah,
just the office in London in the UK, is that right?
that's right. Yeah.
And do you guys have any programs, schemes, initiatives that you run? Is there anything that you do, I guess, to spread the word outside of London? Talk to us about what you like to do to get as many, I guess, awareness for the careers and things like that.
Sure, yeah. So quite recently, actually, we started working with another kind of company in this space of trying to get people more exposed to the different career opportunities available. So we've been working with a great group called Speakers for Schools, which actually, if there's lots of schools joining from across the country, they might already been working with them as well, because we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to get involved in some of our work experience programs, whether you live in London or not. So last year we hosted our first remote work experience with Speakers for Schools, where we had people joining from up and down the country, to get that learning, get that training, to help kind of start to form whether that opinion on if this could be a route of a career you want to explore. So that's something we're going to be doing again this summer, with open applications, no CV, no prior experience needed. We just want to know why you might be interested in learning a bit more about this industry. And then we can welcome you with open arms through this now kind of more hybrid virtual world that we live in, because we want to maintain that, and having that accessibility is really important to us.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that there are so many careers people watching who will be like, amazing. Online work experience, this is something we want to get involved in. Well, I imagine that you'll be able to, if a careers person wanted to get their students involved, or if they wanted to spread it amongst their schools, they could just go join Speakers for Schools and then they.
Completely. And even if, it doesn't have to be through Speakers for Schools as well, that they've just a partner we've worked with, but we do have a few existing relationships with schools as well. We want to broaden that. So if anyone wanted to get in touch afterwards, or just kind of do a bit of research on Grey, by all means, please do. Yeah, any careers people out there, get in touch.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure that that will be a mistake that you just did that because you'll be
I'm sure not. I definitely want to hear from people, so please do get in touch. We'd love to have as many schools as possible working with us.
Amazing. Okay, guys, you hear that? The floodgates are open.
Yeah, that's a promise.
The minute that you said that, we had a couple of people saying stuff in the Q&A. So I think you've already got.
Great, love it.
Okay, and obviously, I also really want to quickly touch upon your backstory, your
Yeah.
history here, because, like you say, you're from Manchester, you made it into Grey, you are a perfect example of someone outside of London who, I guess, got into the advertising industry, and that is something that we have had a lot of chat about amongst our young.
Mm,
What are the opportunities for me outside of London?
yeah.
So talk to us about, I guess, how you made it from Manchester, and as someone that probably didn't know about the advertising industry into the ad industry.
Yeah, I completely didn't know it existed, didn't really know what the opportunities were. As I touched on, I'm in the people space, so I'm not in a quote unquote traditional creative role. But as Ella touched on just before, I wanted to be creative in what I did. I wanted to work for a progressive company that aligned with my own values and the things that mattered to me in a job. So I did go to university, and I did move a little bit further away from home for that. And I did have a bit of a lofty ambition to try and get to London, at least for a couple of years. It was really tough, like figuring that out, and I didn't have family or relatives down here. So I relied a lot on kind of the career support that was available to me and getting their counsel and getting their advice. I was very lucky to have that. But now there is a lot more opportunity available if you want to be in the creative space, not in London. So if I use my home city as an example, there's agencies that exist there in Manchester. And because of the dynamic, we work in a bit more of being a bit more hybrid, having that opportunity to get some of the initial experience, to get that exposure, doesn't all have to be reliant on anyone making a really big decision to up their life and move away, because that's not always possible for people. So do keep an eye out for some of those virtual work experience opportunities, because there's more and more available now. We want to reduce that attainability gap for people, basically. So yeah, use your career services for that, because they'll have all the inside knowledge of where to go for that. And don't be afraid to kind of put yourself out there a little bit and just ask those questions. If you see work experience programs, but they're only in an office, just get in touch, because you never know, that company might have a solution to help make sure you get the exposure still, but maybe not. If you can be physically present, it won't be a barrier.
That's a really good piece of advice there. Just because someone has posted online that it should be in person doesn't mean that they're not open to another.
Completely.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just want to mention as well, guys, there is so much creativity that is happening outside of London. Just as you said,
So
Sally,
much.
like it has, escalated a lot in the last 5, 10 years. So please
Mm,
do go have a look at what's happening in your local area. If you need a tool to be able to find what's going on, there is a open source spreadsheet that I am sharing with everyone throughout the course of the day that basically has loads of helpful links, regional links, all of this kind of, I guess, helpful pointers as to where you might be able to find creativity in your local area. And if all else fails, also go on to Companies House, and you can actually look for companies under a certain industry, advertising, for example, and look by location as well. So you can literally go and have a look at all of the companies that are registered in whatever area you're in whatever industry you want to look at. So that's a really good way of
that's
broadening.
a great tip. Did not know that.
I actually discovered that about a year ago, and then I spent about a week of my life just on Companies House. I absolutely, it's like a real addiction platform.
Bookmark page, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So go do that. Sally, thank you so much for joining us. That was
Thank
full of
you for having me.
you were so good at public speaking on this topic. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. You had
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.